Hi and welcome, I'm Melanie. So today I have come on to talk about Dark Night of the Soul. And I know that there is a lot out there about Dark Night of the Soul, but this is just my take on it from my own experiences and from others, because I want to help you to recognize and understand the significance of Dark Night of the Soul and also to help you to navigate it. For those of you who either haven't gone through a Dark Night of the Soul or who maybe haven't realized you have gone through one, but also for those of you who have, because probably many of you who are watching this would have experienced it at least once, because Dark Night isn't something that you will necessarily experience just once. It can happen more than once. Now, I want to explain firstly that experiencing a dark night of the soul isn't just related to having a spiritual awakening or being woken up by your divine masculine, although you will experience a dark night if you have had an awakening, because it is something that could happen at any time throughout someone's life, and it won't necessarily be caused by having a spiritual awakening. It can be more of a sign or an indication of a time to reevaluate your life for change and growth. However, for the purposes of this video, I'm going to be focusing on having a dark night through having a spiritual awakening. So a dark night can last for any length of time and can vary in terms of intensity and even the nature of it. But what is it, and why, if you have had an awakening, do you go through this? Well, you could think of Dark Night of the Soul as an initiation or unbecoming to become. It is a time of self-realization that you are not who you thought you were, that you are more than. It can be described as if you are standing back and zooming out and looking at yourself, the person and the identity of who you thought you were, and becoming aware of a presence other than who you have always identified as being. A dark night is when your ego starts to collapse and dissolve, through you becoming aware that you are more than the existence of all you have ever known. What this means is when you are woken up, it is more like being switched on. You are now seeing everything in a different light or way because you have been activated. And so this is why many divine feminine will go through a dark night at some point after being activated onto the journey by their divine masculine running. It could be you are plunged into one then, or once you go searching for answers, and then by finding those answers you could go into one. But actually it could happen at any time along the journey. Now, for many, the first one is quite often the most intense, as you can imagine, because you are starting to see everything so differently to before. So nothing will feel the same. So you will question everything, and this can make you feel very unstable. And this is because it is the beginning of the end of your ego's control over you. You have become aware of an existence that is beyond your ego, something that your egoic mind wasn't aware of, and something that is beyond the capability of your egoic mind's understanding. And so, because of this awareness, for the first time, you'll be starting to realize and understand that what you thought was true isn't. And this can feel very disconcerting. This can cause you to feel disillusioned. You can feel you have no points of reference. Nothing that would have caused you to before to feel a sense of positivity, happiness, excitement, or would normally help to lift you out of feeling low will help. You can feel confused and lost because everything can feel like it is unraveling. Nothing makes sense anymore, which can lead you to feeling everything is meaningless and pointless, causing a sense of hopelessness and leading you to experiencing grief. And all this can make you feel scared, making you anxious or despondent, causing depression. You can also feel physically ill. Not everyone has this, but for some, it can cause physical symptoms, including feeling exhausted. Now, as I said, everyone's dark nights will be different. However, no matter how intense yours has been or how long they have lasted, they are not pleasant. It is not something you would choose to go through. And when you are going through one, for most, you will just want to come out of it as quickly as possible. However, dark nights are necessary and a natural part of the process of an awakening. Like I mentioned earlier, because they are like an initiation and part of this process of you unbecoming to become, where through this process you shift or move from being what you were to what you are to become. You have been woken up so you can embark on a profoundly transformative journey of self-discovery, where you are going to discover the truth of who you are at the deepest level. And so when you go through a dark night, it is through this awareness of you discovering that you are more than who you thought you were, that you are not limited, unworthy, alone, or a victim. The layers of beliefs, conditionings, and programming begin to crumble and fall away because you are beginning to see through the illusion. So you can acknowledge, accept, trust, and remember just what a limitless, powerful, and eternal being you are. And this process, however unpleasant it is going to help you to move forward. And in truth, it's not really your soul which is having a dark night. It's your ego, because it's because of your soul that you are having an awakening, because this is what your soul wants. It is your ego which is struggling and is going through a dark night because it's losing its control and grip on you, or you could say dying, because you are beginning to venture outside of your comfort zone and are seeing the bigger picture into the realms of the unknown, a place in which you connect with something more than and other than your five senses. You connect to the truth of who you are, your soul. And your ego only really understands things through the five senses. And so when the illusion begins to crumble, your fear-based egoic mind will cause you to feel all those unpleasant fear-based emotions because it is fearing its own demise. And this is all part of the process, and it's going to feel unsettling, and you may well feel distraught because you are no longer sure of who you are. You will no longer identify with the only person you have ever known. You will no longer want to conform or be happy or satisfied with the social or cultural concepts of the 3D world, the limiting beliefs, conditionings, and false narratives. But it's only going through this that will lead you to deepening that sense of awareness, enabling you to become free. Dark night of the soul is a way of helping you to step into and become a more evolved you, hence why it can be known as an initiation. And so because going through a dark night will mean you are becoming more evolved, this is why throughout the journey you may experience more than one, because this journey is happening for you to grow. And dark nights are helping you to shift from an old paradigm, from the false matrix, to a higher, more evolved consciousness. So you may find dark nights happening when something is deep rooted within, which is connected to your old way of being, a trauma, a core wound that is no longer in alignment, something that maybe feels so ingrained that it's hard to let go of. You may be working on yourself with something significant so you can experience one then. But also, and I just want to point out that not all dark nights come from something that is obviously and seemingly big or significant to you. A dark night can descend from something almost insignificant to you, but it may go so deep, and so you may not be aware of it. But no, a dark night will happen because you are being called to know yourself at a deeper level of consciousness, to help you to realign with your true path and to shift and to ascend higher. So how do you get through a dark night? Well, probably the most important thing you can do for yourself is to allow yourself to go through this process, and not to be in resistance, not to be impatient for it to end, not to get caught up in the fear and fear-based thoughts and emotions. To accept what is happening is helping you to shift and move forward, that it is a time of transition. Do the inner and shadow work on yourself to help you to understand why you are having a dark night, which will in turn help you to get to know yourself more deeply, which will then help you to accept why you are having a dark night. This will help you to realize what is no longer serving you, which is usually at the bottom of a dark night. And what I mean by that is the dark night is happening to highlight something that is no longer in alignment with your highest good, so you can ultimately free yourself of it. This is why it's happening. To keep building and growing your connection with your soul, opening yourself up to your intuitive feelings, and surrender. Surrender to what the dark night is showing you. Learning the lesson or lessons of your dark night. Because once you have learned the lessons or lesson of why you are having a dark night, you will come out of it. And when you come out of a dark night, you will have transitioned, evolved, deepened your connection with your soul, and therefore your awareness of who you truly are. So understand that dark nights are a natural process of awakening. They can happen or keep happening because you are here to keep moving forward so you can unbecome to become. Anyway, that is all for me today. Check out my website for more help and support. The link is below. And don't forget, you can really help my videos to get out there more to more people by subscribing and hitting the thumbs up button. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Sending you all so much love. Bye for now and blessed be.